Do you think your hand will reach?
I'll try.
Maybe. Okay.
I am from the class 8
Sure. Just let me know your name and like.
Thank you.
Okay, brothers. This class mainly is about. We are already ahead of female side, so I've been requested to slow down a little bit. So we will talk about assignment only. Okay. And I want you to take advantage of this time, and if you want to do even assignment at the end of the class or the next class, so let's just finish the assignment, make use of that, okay? So it will give you, a big advantage, in terms of time, so that you can at least finish one big assignment by yourself, okay? So this whole class is about explaining the assignment that has to do with pivot tables, pivot charts. So before going and explaining the assignment, I'm going to quickly refresh yourself, 5 minutes only. I'm not going to ask you open your Excel or anything for now, okay? But just to make sure you recall what we discussed last time, so that you understand the assignment very well, in terms of expectation, okay? So if you remember last time, pivot tables, pivot chart, the objective is data reporting and visualization, right? So the idea is to either organize, process, or analyze the data. And one of the things that is part of the discussion is that you will have a data, okay? And then you will have to prepare certain reports for it. Now, if you see here, what I did was I tried to explain what the data set is all about. So if you read the description here, I said that we will use a case of daily sales data of first quarter of the year of an electronics store that is selling 12 different products. Why I'm emphasizing this? Because this is like your first task. So I'm going to be giving you out different data sets to different groups, okay? And we'll talk about formation of groups as well. But all of you have to first define data like this, right? So I'm not going to define this data set to you. I'll give you this data set. You'll have to first of all write a description of what this data is about. Okay, is that clear? So this is like an example to you. Now this description is not expected to be too long, but it has to be precise. It has to be very clear. It should cover all aspects of data in a very clear way. Okay, is that clear? So then what we did was, this was like the data last time, and I basically asked you that you have to prepare reports, and the keyword about preparing reports is the keyword here is somewhere there is a mention of summarization. So the data sets are always very big in size, right? As you will see, the data sets that I'm going to share are also very, very big. So your task as business analyst is to provide some sort of summarization, and summarization essentially has to do with finding some sort of totals, averages based on certain dimensions. And I'm going to show you again an example so you will recall what we did. Okay? So when you're going to read the task, you should know that I'm doing some sort of summarization, which must do either some sort of finding totals or some sort of averages or minimums or maximums, something like that, right? Based on what? Based on certain criteria that I'm going to talk about that. And it may involve applying certain sort of filtering as well. Okay? So I'm going to show you an assignment, and I'm going to ask you, how you're going to deal with it, just to make sure that I know that you're able to follow things up in the way that I'm expecting. Okay? In between, if there's anything, please stop me. Okay? So this is like a report. Okay? There are two parts of, in fact, let me just go back quickly for a second. Let me go back quickly for a second and then I'll come back to it. I'm going to share this file to you. So first you will form groups, and then for each group I'm going to give you this set of tasks. Can you see task 1, task 2, task 3, task 1, task 2, task 3? And some of the tasks have very specific subtasks to perform. Okay? So when you're talking about each of the tasks, you may have to produce a report not only like this, but it says, tables, charts and summaries, tables and summaries. So very precisely given task to you. Tables means the table that I just showed you, and summary means you have to look at that table and analyze the table and share what you understand from that table. There must be some products doing more, some products doing less, right? So it's not just about extracting the table, it is about analyzing the table as well. And wherever there is a need, I say tables and summary, meaning that I don't need charts there. Okay? And when I say tables, charts and summary, it means that I need you to not only do tables but charts as well and write the summary as well. Okay? So tables meaning a table like this. Now in this summarization, the question might come like this. I wanted to find total sales based on products and days. So this is how I'm going to be defining tasks like that. Should be very clear, right? Not very complicated. So if you just rehear the sentence that I just said, there are two things to it. Number one, dimensions. Number two, the value that I wanted to summarize. Right? So let me ask you again. And then of course the nature of the value. Is it total? Is it average? So let me say it again. So I wanted to find total sales based on products and days. So what are my dimensions here?
Products and days.
Yeah, so always ask yourself, whenever you see a task, always ask yourself, what is my dimension or dimensions? It might be one dimension in your task, or it might be multiple dimensions in your task. Second thing you should ask, what is the value that I'm trying to summarize? So what is the value that I'm trying to summarize here? Sales. And what about that value that I'm trying to summarize? Is it total or is it average or is it like min, is it like max or what? Yeah, so it should be as simple as that. As soon as you're able to read this sentence in this form, it will be very easy for you to deal with each task. The problem comes when you don't have any clue that which part of the description is dimension, which part is the value, and which part is like the target to achieve, whether it's average or some, right? By the way I described it is exactly the way a lot of business analysts, that's their core job in many companies these days. Data analyst, business analyst. You have been given a lot of data and you are asked to please find this for them. And what the way they describe is like the way I just explained. Can you please find me total sales based on products and days? A question like this might come, and you always have to think in terms of what are my dimensions and what is the value do I have to summarize. Okay. Plus on top of it, I might ask you to say that, but I wanted it only for smartphones. So what comes into play after that? I told you that after dimensions and values, there's another thing that might be relevant to you, which is filters. Okay, so it has to be only these three things: the dimensions, the values, and filters. If you can interpret the question in terms of these three things, khalas, your assignment is a piece of cake. Okay, and of course the rest of the things are the interpretation. But just one additional thing, when you're writing the report, please make sure if it is a dollar amount or a Saudi Riyal amount, just try to even format it in a very professional way, in the right way. Okay, so the way we created this table was that you have to select your data set. Okay, I'm quickly refreshing it for you. So what you have to do is you have to go to, let me go full screen so that you can see it better. So you have to select the data set, and then you have to go to insert pivot tables, right? So once you click on it, make sure you choose the new worksheet, right? And then a space like this would come. Even in the task, I'm very clearly explaining to you, I want a dimension in rows or in columns, right? So if I say I need products in rows and dates in columns, I'm explaining it to you the way I want it, this report to be formatted. So based on that, you can you remember just a drag and drop thing that we did last time, right? Values is sales, so you just drag and drop the values in there. By default, if you remember, it always gives you sum, total. But what do you do if I'm looking for average, not sum, or minimums or maximums?
We click on the arrow.
This arrow, okay, this is the arrow. So you click on it, and then you click on value field settings, and then you pick the one that you need. You can just change from sum to average or minimum or maximum or something else. Okay, is that clear to everyone? So it's not a very like complicated task. Of course, if needed, then you bring something in filters. If needed, depending upon your question. Maybe I'm asking you to filter out certain things. Okay, so in that case, you need to have the filter here as well. And if you needed to insert a figure or a graph or a chart, you just click on the table options, pivot charts, and then pick the right chart that whatever you feel necessary. Okay, and then you can insert. Now this was just a refresher, so let me just come to the assignment. Before going to the assignment, I need to tell you that there are 3 data sets that I'm going to share with you, and all these data sets are not made up, they are real data sets, okay? And they are not only small data sets, but they are big data sets with lots of fields. Can you see how many fields are there? 23 fields, okay, and 4,326 records in this particular data set, okay. What is important here is the name of the file. Dataset 1, Excel dataset 1, this is dataset 1, then we'll have Excel dataset. Dataset 2, by the way, this, how many records are there in this one? 200,000 data points. Real data set, okay? So it is 200,000, and then the third one, which has around, I think, 30,000 data points. 30,000 data points, all real data to analyze. So it means that real data sets are actually quite large, and these are not the biggest data sets that you have to deal with, okay? So you can see this one, by the way, is a data set used by one of our master's students in our work. It has to do with these retail setting prices to maximize their sales. So she's working on that. So, but this is again, it is just you can see some familiar names here, right? How many of you here like to eat cheese? Almarai, cheddar cheese, and Forcena slice, etc. So she's working on setting prices for different types of cheese. But again, it has around how many 30,000 data points. Now, the way you have to deal with it is that after forming groups, I need to know which group number you are. So, for example, first come first serve basis, you call yourself group 1. So you will have to go there, and this is, you have to go to your own group description. Okay, so each one of you will have a different task to do. If there are, let's say, 8 groups, so all 8 groups will have different tasks. Okay, so the first thing you have to see which file is assigned to me. So you can see up there. Can you see up there Excel dataset 1? So you have to pick the right file for you first. So some are Excel, even for the same dataset file, the tasks are different for different groups. Okay, so you can see dataset 1, dataset 2, dataset 3. Overall, you have to write a report covering all the tasks given under your group. Okay, a report meaning you need to have a Word file and an Excel file, because Excel file will produce your tables and charts, and the Word file will have like a report to write. The report is not expected to be too long, but it has to be written. It is going to be evaluated in a precise way, because that's what we have been asked to be more precise this time with evaluation of in reports. So the total marks are 5%. Okay, so 2% for task number 1, plus report writing plus presentation of the report, and this 2% will be given in this way. So you can see it here. Everything is defined very clearly. So precise language, good formatting, and correct language 2%. One thing missing, one of the elements missing, 1%, and half percent. It will come down. Yes.
You need the PowerPoint presentation, or
no.
just
presentation meaning
like a report presentation.
Yes, formatted it well. Okay. So precise language means no unnecessary thing. It's a business intelligence report, so just put whatever is needed. Precision means clarity, and have you missed anything important in there? Good formatting means the overall format of the report, right? Different fonts and big fonts, small fonts. It has to be done in a nice professional way. Okay. And correct language means, of course, the language. Just make sure that the language uses, there is no grammatical errors, etc. Okay. Secondly, the rest of the tasks are, the marks are defined here, like half a mark for each task, something like this. So it will be the remaining 3%. Okay. Now, task 1 is common for all of you, which is basically, I already explained to you. What is task 1? It says write a paragraph about what the data set contains and summary in terms of its fields and records. So I already told you that this has to do with a description like this. I like for this data set, I'm telling you that it's a sales data, daily sales data set for first quarter of the year for an electronics store selling 12 different products. You don't have to write long, but you need to have a description that is clear, that gives out detail about the data set, right? In a nice, revealing way, meaning that it should reveal as much as possible about the data set. Okay, so this task 1 is clear to everyone. Task 2, I told you that you have to think each task in terms of dimensions, in terms of value, in terms of whether it is going to be total or average or something. Okay, so I'm going to read out a task and let's see you are able to understand that or clearly or not. So this data set is about some dairy farm thing. You need to look at the data set. I'm not going to discuss too much on it. Total land area allocated to each location. Total land area allocated to each location. So what is my dimension here?
The land and the location.
No, total land area.
This is the target.
Yeah, this is the value.
Value.
So by
Allocated from
the
each location.
Each location. So
Location.
there must in your data you must find locations,
Single dimension.
single dimension, and total land areas allocated. Right? So that's how you need to interpret. What is the second one? Total cows available at each location.
location and cow.
Cow is the value, right? Total cows. But what is the third one? The above two information, land area and cows, based on
Size.
farm size. My dimension has changed this time. Right?
But still single dimension.
Single dimension, two values.
From the greater to the smaller.
No, just two values. Two values, but this time farm, but not single values, but I'm looking for two different values based on it. I want you to explore, it's not that difficult. So, look, pivot chart is good in the sense that you just drop the thing in the right box, rows, columns, or values. If there are two values, just drop it in two values. Right? You will see that it will produce that result for you. I want you to see all shapes and forms of pivot charts, pivot tables. Okay? So, you will be able to see a very nice summary based on that. So, normally there are two tasks. One is basically one on some sort of facility, and the other one is based on the products. And tables, chart, summary. So, whatever table that you get, then your job is to analyze. So, one of the things, please brother, before I forget, is that again the college is asking us to be more explicit with our grading. So also report at the end contribution by each member. We are supposed to be having not just one grade, but for assignment at least report. I'll not change grades for the assignment, but most likely for the project, orange project, we may have to differentiate. So you just have to report what each one is doing. Okay, so we will see what can be done. Normally we give like common mark to have the whole group, but it just things are getting pushed on us to be followed in a certain way. Okay, so at least for assignment, just report so that we can say that we are collecting this data. Okay, is that clear to everyone?
Yeah.
Now it means what? You have to form groups of, let's say, 3 to 4 students, and then you need to tell me, I am group number 1, group number 2. Yeah, I need to know your group number. Okay, and this group, by the way, will stay for the project as well. So this assignment, Excel assignment, and the orange project, you'll do both things, in the same group. Secondly, if you want, because you still have to form the groups, so on, next class should be enough to finish off your assignment during the class. And I will be there, so if you're facing any problem, you can ask me to come and have a look at whatever report you're producing. Okay? Yes.
Victor, what does it mean by summary?
Summary means
description in the report.
The numbers that you see, what you see in those numbers. As an analyst, you always have to conclude by writing something on it.
Okay.
So, for example, which product is doing better and which product is not doing better, right?
Okay. Description of the results.
Description of the results.
And the tables I represent in the Word document by image, right?
Yeah, but as an image,
Nothing-
or you can just copy paste, the table on the graph there. Okay. So the graph and of course, there are two steps. One, you summarize the information, but then one of the biggest job that people are doing these days as business analysts is to interpret the results, which means that you should be able to read the numbers and tell a story about it, right? Because companies are asking you to say something about the numbers that you obtained. That's the role of business analyst, so that those summarized results can then be used by companies to take decisions. Okay, so that is why it's not just that you have to produce these tables, you have to interpret the tables. Okay, so I want you to go through the whole exercise. So a lot of jobs are actually doing exactly what I'm asking you to do. Extract data, use pivot tables, look at the numbers, analyze. I know there are fresh graduates there that are exactly doing this job day after day, for initial few months of their jobs. Then they go to a higher level to make decision making. But by that time, the companies are asking them to do this. Why? Because then this exercise will help them understand the business very well. They understand all products, all behaviors, all performance, everything. They understand it very well. So first few months maybe they keep asking you to do a task like this. Okay. So if this is clear, what is next? Your project groups. If you have already groups made, you can also use the same groups if you like. No compulsion from my side. But please, one of you collect all group 1 this ID, group 2 this ID, group 3 these IDs, and then just share it with me on WhatsApp or something. Okay. If there is anything else, if not, I'm going to quickly take your attendance, please.